Hi guys, good morning. We're out here in the garden on a Sunday morning. We are going to do a bunch of prep work here for our fall garden. So first off, we started off with these carrots. I had looked back at my calendar and I saw that it has been 90 days since these have been planted. And because we had a chipmunk that kept eating the green bean tops and I didn't thin them, sorry, on the carrot tops, and I didn't thin them really. These didn't come to a very big size, so we decided to harvest whatever we could. And this here is what we got. One basket with some decent sized carrots, nothing too big. But definitely the bigger ones are bigger than what we got last year. And whatever was too small, we just left over here. We're gonna let it compost in place until we're ready to plant some full stuff. Then I'm also heading over to the celery. I'm gonna harvest those because they are getting nice and tall, way bigger than they were the last time around that I harvested them. And I want to see if we can still get another harvest before the first frost. So I started doing this, but then it started raining. I waited out the rain, and now we have a few hours in between this rain and the next one. So we're going to harvest some more celery, and we're going to do some more work in the garden to prep for fall, and I'll bring you along. Let's head over to the celery and harvest the rest of them. And guys, if you want to see how I harvest the celery, I'm gonna link a video for you. The last time that I harvested, I showed you guys how to do that, and you can go ahead and watch that one. Hey guys, I'm also thinning out the carrots here a little bit, and I'm also pulling out some African daisies that I had growing back here because they were also starting to die back already. Might as well just pull it, and maybe we can plant something for the fall. When I'm done here, I'm going to show you what it looks like with a celery cut and just the carrot left to grow. We'll let the celery also go and see what happens if we can get another harvest. It's a good time to come out and thin the carrots so that we can have a better harvest on this bed than we did in the other bed. And it's great timing, I see, because some of them are getting nice and big, but some other ones are really itty bitty small. And if I want to give them a fighting chance, now is the time to thin it. And I have a helper here that is cutting down the celery for me while I do my thinning. I think the eggplants we're going to leave. They're okay sitting here for another little while. The broccoli I came out and harvested the other day the most possible. Tomatoes we're going to go through, and oh, I see a bright red one there. We can get anything that is starting to ripen, we're going to take off because there's more rain expected later today. And yeah, put it, oh, it has a little bite in it, throw it over. Lost my train of thought here. Oh yeah, we're expecting more rain, and we're going to be going away for a couple days. So I want to harvest the most possible before both of these. I think I'm going to come out and pull the kale plants. They're also pretty much done. Broccoli, I think I'm going to leave in until we transplant the full ones. There's a squash plant that can come out, zucchini, which is done and has been putting on fruit for 2 weeks. I believe there's a bunch of green beans that we can harvest. And let me show you what our carrots and radishes are doing, the ones that we planted for the fall. I'm going to show you here how I thin. So all this here is carrots, and as you can see, it's all one big bunch. So if I want to give it a fighting chance, I see over here, this one looks like it's going to be a bigger one. So I'm going to pull out the ones around it. You can see how these are pretty small, and it's not really going to become anything with it. So I'm going to leave it here behind it where I pulled out the African daisies to act like a living mulch, just like I did in the other bed. Oh, this is actually semi-decent. Okay, we're gonna take this inside as well. But this one here looks bigger, we're gonna leave it. There's one behind it. I'm gonna pull that. See, all these are like itty bitty tiny. So by leaving just a few in here, I'm giving those a chance to come to full size instead of having just a bunch of nothings. Okay, so back here is more celery, and over here, back here, we had the African daisies, which we pulled out. Let's move on. Okay, this here is our last zucchini plant, which for the last 2 weeks I haven't gotten anything off it, and it has some powdery mildew. So this plant is done. I'm gonna pull it out, and then we'll have the whole back of the bed here to be able to put some full stuff in here. And here in the front, as you can see, this is our radish and carrots that we have just chaos garden, so I just sprinkled a bunch of them. And what happened was that I covered them with a cardboard, and the radishes sprouted before I had a chance to remove it. They were like so fast. So some of them are kind of leggy. I'll leave it and we'll see if something happens with it. If not, so far this year we've only had 2 successions of good radishes. Worst case, we go without radishes for the rest of the season. Okay, so let me pull this out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it at the base of the plant. And this plant actually split in half. So at the base of the plant, it split and it created 2 main branches. So we got one over here. Put it over. I'm gonna move it later. And now let me get the second one. And I prefer to leave the roots in the bed so that it retains the microorganisms in there and it adds nutrients back to the soil. The only plants I don't do this for is for the tomatoes, because usually by the time the tomatoes are done, the plants are diseased and usually not worth it to risk having disease in the soil. Now, if you can see back here, we have started some more sunflowers. We'll see if something happens with that before the first frost sets in. And now we have a whole section here that we can do our cabbage or our broccoli, or what else did we start? Cauliflower. So something will go in here, something will go in the other bed where we remove the carrots. Now, guys, I'm gonna have a helper harvesting the green beans. Let's see how much we can get. We already got some tomatoes in here, a cucumber, and one of the red longhorn peppers. Meanwhile, we're harvesting the green beans. I'm also gonna get rid of one sunflower plant here that has no more flowers on it and the stalk is drying out. So just like the squash, I'm gonna cut it at the base and let the roots compost in the ground. It's a time of transformation in the garden right now, but it's a constant life cycle out here. Let me see if there's any other sunflower stalks that are pretty much done. I think the rest are still okay. They're still putting on some flowers, still putting on some growth. They're not the healthiest or best condition, but we'll keep it for now. We need something to bring the pollinators in. Oh, I got a cucumber. Let me see if there's any other ones. So any tomatoes that has even just a tiny bit of color, I'm gonna remove. And I'm gonna let it ripen inside. It looks like our tomatoes are almost done as well. I don't see much new growth. See a couple flowers here and there, but not enough. So we're gonna wait a few more weeks and see what happens. And guys, it's only mid-August when I'm recording this. I know that you'll be seeing this beginning of September. So you probably will get an updated look at the garden with this video. I hope to plant out the the full vegetables with you in this video as well. I just figured that any major work that I'm doing in the garden between now and our next garden tour, I would want to record for you guys. We had a few more tomatoes. Oh my god. Things went flying. A dried up cucumber. Yeah, I know you guys are not seeing everything, but because I have help in the garden, not everybody's ready to be on camera. So there's only so much I can show you. What else did I want to do today? I wanted to pull out the kale plants. Oh, we need to cut some scallions. We're gonna have burgers tonight. You want to cut some scallions? Okay, my helper is gonna cut the scallions for us. Let's see what we're gonna get. Let me take you over to the kale now. That's become a mess over the last few days. Okay, so over here we have our kale, or what used to be our kale. Most of them have dried out. I don't know if it was because I didn't harvest it, or I over harvested, or the weather, or just the plant was done because it was the end of its life cycle. So we're just gonna pull all of them. Now this here is a broccoli that fell over. Last week we had some really heavy rain and strong winds, and this fell over. So let's see. I'm gonna pull this up. Let's see, where is it secured on this end? So this is rotting away over here. I don't want to introduce diseases if they haven't already. So over it goes. I'm going around to the other side of the bed. So the health of the plants on this end actually looked decent. So I see also the petunias are pushing in and putting a lot of pressure. And it got pretty big, so I'm assuming the roots might also be like trying to take over. Question is if I should pull these, but they're still putting on nice flowers for me constantly. And I'm liking it, and I've seen pollinators hanging out over here. So, The kale I haven't really gravitated towards over the last month, I'd say. So I think we're gonna pull it. And any leaves that are semi-decent size, we'll take inside. Let's see. How many plants are we gonna be pulling now? Let's see, I pulled one. Because some of them I already pulled a couple weeks ago as they were dying out. Okay, 3 plants we're getting out now. I'm gonna remove the hoops as well. Okay. Okay. Oops. No. Oops, half of the hoop stayed stuck. Got the whole one here. Let's see if we can get this entire thing out at once, because it's stuck in between the plants. Oh, okay. I have 2 more hoops to get, and then the half of one in the front. That didn't come out all the way. Half of it stayed stuck there. Okay. Let's see what will happen with the petunias now that they can grow every which direction they want. The broccoli, if you can see, like some of the bottom leaves are yellowing. So I'm thinking it's pretty much close to done. So we'll just wait a little bit and see what happens. I don't need the space yet. I still have to harden over the plants that we started. Now we're at the bed where we pulled up the official carrot harvest. We have the peppers here, and along the edge over here, the long edge, we're gonna plant some direct seed, some crisp head lettuce. And I figured it's a perfect time if it's gonna be raining now anyways. It's a perfect time to start a few of these. So here. And you can just go and actually just sprinkle a few along the edge of the bed. You can do it in between the peppers also, because we're going to be harvesting these. We're not going to let these form full heads. We're just going to harvest the leaves, so it's okay if it's densely planted. And that will finish what we're doing in the garden for now. Any other work that I'm going to do in the garden between now and our September garden tour, I will try to remember and bring you guys out here and show you what we're doing. Hey guys, actually one more thing before we go inside. I have this over here. I'm going to put it into this spreader over here. We're going to walk around the outside of the garden and let this spread. Now, our garden does not have a proper gate and it does not have a proper door, because as we were building out the beds in February or March, I knew that for 2025 I want to add more beds. I want to expand the garden, so we didn't want to invest in a long-term gate before we were done. And if you're not aware, which most of you probably aren't, we had ground dogs here, or woodchucks, that kept on getting in. We managed to get rid of them, but they were gone for like probably a month and a half to 2 months. And yesterday I saw one in here eating from this Where is it? This echinacea plant over here. I don't know if you can see the stalks over there, but there's no leaves over there. So I had used this a couple months ago, and I guess it has worn off already. And on the back it actually says that it's best to do it, to water it in. And since we'll be having more rain now, I figured it's a perfect time to do this because the groundhog was in the garden yesterday. So perfect timing to do this again. So I'm gonna pour some in here. I'm gonna walk around the garden and let this spread out. Today, we're out in the garden and I'm gonna give you a garden tour and show you what my garden looks like now, the 1st of September. So we're starting over here in the bed with the peppers. Over here on the sides, I have started some cucumbers. We have some down there. I have two more down there. As you can see, 1 and 2. And we'll see if we'll still get cucumbers before the season is up. It was total experiment. If it works, it works. If not, I'm totally fine with it. If there's any cucumbers growing, I hope to make pickles with them. We've been making pickles. I'm really enjoying them. Now, the main thing that we have in the bed here is peppers. It was not very successful. I have to do some research now over the winter to see how to grow them successfully. And hopefully next year we'll have better success with it. But with these peppers over here, the pepper longhorns, we've gotten quite a good harvest off of it. And there's a new pepper up here. I think this would be the only one that might still ripen before the season is up. If it does, good. If not, every pepper that we got was a bonus for us this year. The next one that did good was this one down here, the Thai dragon pepper. And we also got quite a few off of it. And now I see we have here 1, 2, this is a baby one. I don't know if it'll ripen on time for a harvest, but we'll find out. And then over here, we got red bell peppers, which I see is getting disease again. So I'm gonna take it off. And I think I'm gonna take off this one down here as well. Okay, let's put this in our basket. And we have the peppers in the basket. And now after the peppers, we have broccoli. So this is a little bit sad. So we had a net cover over it, and it was not letting the broccoli grow properly. So we took off the cover. As soon as the cover came off, the animals came and started partying on it. This plant over here had some butterfly eggs, caterpillar eggs on it. So we didn't want to eat it anymore. I let it go to flower, and it's helping out the pollinators now because we don't have much at the moment for the pollinators. But as you can see, the bee here is enjoying it. There's another one coming over there to that flower over there. So I decided I'll leave it, and the animals are enjoying it too, which I am not happy about. As you can see, I'll show you the next row over here. Also, they've been devouring all this broccoli over here. So I think I'm just gonna pull these out. But my debate is, should I pull it or should I leave it and like that, they'll leave the rest of the garden alone. They'll just eat this. I don't know. And then we have these petunias here that also, since we removed the net, they exploded. They came in where the kale was. We removed the kale already. And it just growing now this way instead of just up. And it just doesn't stop. Literally does not stop. And I am loving it. Now over here, I have nasturtium, which is being choked out. But every week or two, there's like one flower that pops up. Next year, I'm not going to plant these together. Learned my lesson. Because I would love to have enjoyed these nasturtiums a lot more than I got to. Now, next bed over is where we had our African daisies right here, which we pulled already. There's quite a few weeds over here that are creeping in from under the gate. And it's growing onto the landscape fabric. I'm going to have to do a full cleanup later on in the season. But over here we have some weeds I'm going to pull. Oh, wow. Okay. We have over here some celery that I already got 2 amazing harvests off of. And we're going to see if we can get another harvest before the first frost sets in. And we have some carrots, which the groundhog keeps eating, not the groundhog, the chipmunk keeps eating. So we'll see how big these carrots get. This is one way of checking it. This is still quite thin. So over here I can see it's getting a bit bigger. That's good. We're going to cover that back up. Let's check another few. This one's also sizing up nicely. We're going to harvest some eggplant. I have 2 on this plant right here. Sorry, after the celery and the carrots, we have, this is from our eggplant, and we have 2 on this one, and we might have more on the one that's on the other side over there. So let's first harvest these 2, and let's see about the others. Look at the size of this. It's massive. And I think I might have left this on too long. It's kind of rough. It's very tough. And the skin is a bit matte looking. So I'll cut into it. We'll see how it looks inside. And we'll decide what to do with it. And here's the other one, which is looking pretty much the same. And I know that last week it was dark purple and shiny, glossy, the skin. So that's why I'm thinking that I left it too long. We'll see. Okay. After the eggplant, which I'm still going to go to the one over there and see if I can harvest any more, but it looks like there's an eggplant right there that I can harvest. Now, after that I have the tomato, but in between the tomato I have some basil. And I did not harvest them in a while, so they got nice and tall and thick and full. Right now I'm gonna go through all the tomato plants, our little tomato jungle here. And this was also a complete total learning experience. This was not a good system. This year I was just get things planted. I didn't focus on any proper systems for it. And I learned. I am hopefully going to be building a trellis system for this for next year. And I am looking forward to that. And guys, if you want to see the journey of how we expand this garden for next growing season, then hit the subscribe button and you'll be able to watch the process. Let's see, we're going to grab some tomatoes. Now I grab any tomatoes that have even just the slightest bit of color, because we have a squirrels that keep coming and eating from here. And we have a chipmunk that practically lives in this bed and parties off of these tomatoes. So whenever I find any tomato that has even just the slightest bit of color, I take it for myself. In here, I think I see a couple more tomatoes. Let's see. See, just the slightest bit of color. I will remove it. This one was bitten into. Where is it? Over here. So this will throw in the back of our property for the animals to enjoy. I see here another one that is starting to turn colors. I see one over here. Now let's go to the other side of the bed and see if we can get more from that side. In front of the tomatoes, we have the zinnias that just keeps on going. This side over here, I love it. It's like going down till the ground over here. It's exploding, it's massive, and I am loving it. And I keep harvesting these flowers and bringing them into the house to enjoy as well. Okay, I'm here at the other eggplant, and over here is the one that I thought that we would be able to harvest. I think it needs another week or two. But then this plant has so many new baby ones, like one over here, another two. We have one up here, and there is more on the other side of this plant. So hopefully we might still get some more eggplant this season that I will be able to preserve. Okay, the next bed over, we have planted some more sunflowers, and they are growing nicely. Hopefully they'll still get nice and tall. Then over here we had our squashes, which I had removed because they were done, they were diseased, they weren't really producing much. Next up we have our radish and carrot patch, which I will have to come out and thin, but it needs probably another 2 weeks of growth before I can do that. Next up we have the sunflowers, which as they're dying out, I keep removing them. And I think all of these they still have flowers on them. They're not the prettiest, but the pollinators are enjoying it, so for now I'm leaving it. And after that we have our green beans, which I'm gonna go and harvest some right now. So let's go do that. If you're still watching at this point, I really appreciate you watching 33 minutes of me being out in the garden. And if you're enjoying this, please hit the like button so that I know that you're enjoying it and I can make some more of these type of videos for you. I harvested some more on this side, a little bit. Still getting more. Oh, this plant has so many yellow ones. I wonder why that's happening. This is diseased. I think we went through pretty much all of it. And here we got a pretty decent amount of green beans that we can enjoy. And also here I have our starts that we started a couple weeks ago. And just like the garden itself, I was not very good about taking care of them. So if you can see here, let me show you how the starts. They're very, very thin at the bottom, but then they get thicker. But then they're also not the healthiest looking, and I really don't feel like planting these into the garden. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna head over to a local nursery and buy some starts and plant those. And if I still get to do it today, then I will show you what I get and how I plant it and where we plant it. So guys, decision was made about the fall vegetables. I went to the nursery earlier and they didn't have anything. All they had was some fall flowers. So I decided I'm gonna go ahead and plant the starts that I did start in my house that I showed you earlier, and we'll see what happens with them. If they survive, that's good. If they don't, I am not gonna cry, because I'm just trying, doing the best that I can. And because these pots are compostable, I think what I did over there is a very good idea. I'm just planting it with a pot. Just gonna break off the bottom so that the roots can expand into the bed. And I'm just gonna drop it in. And I'm gonna try to cover the thin parts of the stem that I had showed you earlier. And hopefully this works. So this is some cabbage that I planted. Debating if I should do the third one in the center. And the cabbage did grow well. It's three. No, I think I'm gonna leave it. The other ones don't look as good. Anyways, now I'm gonna go in the back of this bed. And should we do the broccoli there? I think I'll do the broccoli in the back of the bed. And we'll do cauliflower and the cilantro somewhere else. Getting 2 of the broccolis. We just had some heavy rain here, so everything is wet. And I'm not removing anything from the pot. Like each pot I had started with 2 starts. I'm leaving it. I'm not picking out any because I want to see if it survives the transplant. Then, and if it starts growing, I'm gonna decide then which one looks healthier. And that's when we'll thin it to just one. Okay, this bed here is the pepper bed. In the front of the peppers, I'm gonna put the cauliflower. And we'll see what happens with it. Let's see. This one is looking very sad. So I'll transplant just 2 of them. And just like the other bed, we'll see what happens. I am totally okay if nothing happens with it. It's on me. I didn't take very good care of them as starts. So, no use in being disappointed if it doesn't succeed. Okay, and over here, just like the broccoli, I'll see if it survives the transplant. If it starts thriving, I'm gonna choose one that looks better, and that's the one. I'll thin it out too. Now, I think the cilantro can go up here in the front. I have to put these in my gardening shed. They keep floating around here. I'm gonna do the same thing with the cilantro, just tear up off the bottom, and I'm gonna push it in, and we'll see what happens. So I don't know if this is a good idea to do this with the lettuce, because there's so many seeds in this one little pot. But I'm planning to harvest them not as heads, so we'll find out. You can always come and thin it out. We'll see what happens. This is absolutely not the ideal way I would have done this. But we're working with what we've got. And we're doing our best. Trying. Not giving up before we give it a try. I don't think I'm going to thin this pot. Looks pretty good. Like well spread out. The seeds that germinated. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. So if you want to continue on with this journey with me, then please consider hitting the subscribe button, hitting the like button, and I'll see you on the next one. I will link some videos for you up here to watch between now and my next upload. Thank you, and see you again next time.